The smiles are back in the Indian outsourcing industry. A year ago, at the height of the global economic slowdown, growth was knocked back from 30% annually to a mere 5%. But industry heavyweights now believe the worst is behind them.
We're looking at a growth rate of 13 to 15%. That's nearly treble. If that doesn't bring a smile back, I'm not sure what will. Don't get me wrong, we cannot be complacent. I think the economic environment remains terribly uncertain. Double-dip recession, who knows what happened. But at the end of the day, companies have diversified, they've become meaner and leaner.
Take Wipro, for example. India's third biggest software company remains profitable with substantial savings, in excess of $1 billion. So even as the industry suffered last year, Wipro had enough in reserve to reinvent how it prices and sells its services.
We were flexible with our clients, coming in with innovative ways by which they could actually cut spend. Not necessarily cut price, but cut spend. And I think those kind of proactive statements and proactive partnerships have actually helped us, because it's more than anything else, more than the revenue, more than the bottom line and all of that. It basically kept trust with the client.
To keep customers as well as their trust, Wipro, along with the other top Indian outsourcers like Tata Consultancy Services, Infosys and HCL, are having to come up with more innovative ways to keep costs down and deal with the reality of reduced budgets.
Actually, one of the things that we have come up with is a shared services model, where we are doing the same type of work for multiple clients. We said, let's pool this together and make it a shared service. We don't share data, but the common processes, common technology, same expertise we can share across multiple clients, especially in non-competing industries, and then give value to everybody.
Perhaps surprisingly for such an established industry, most of India's outsourcers live almost entirely hand-to-mouth, with short-term projects providing about 90% of their revenues. As the world emerges from recession, the focus now is on the massive multi-year deals that provide predictable work. In effect, Bangalore is trying to emulate big Western rivals by moving up the value chain to provide such high-end services as business analytics and knowledge-based services.
The reason is because that's where the real intelligence lies in many cases, in terms of a business process you're looking at, or a particular vertical or a particular industry. You need analytics for risk management for banks and financial services. You need it for claims. You need it for collecting money. You need it for better marketing.
But so far, the Indians have struggled to win complex consulting jobs. Less than 5% of their revenue comes from the highest level work, half that of their Western rivals. One way to make the shift is to hire outside India. That would help the outsourcers acquire expertise and be closer to the client. And many firms are using this period of slower growth to restructure.
So at this time, people are looking at internal efficiencies, looking at how we can get more for less, how can we build domain expertise, how should we start investing in newer geographies, which you never did because you were so busy meeting up the growth rates that were available to you.
Over the last 2 months, large Indian IT companies like Tata Consultancy Services and Wipro have scaled up their presence in locations as diverse as Romania, Australia, Brazil and Dubai. But simultaneously, foreign companies like Accenture, IBM and Styria are making inroads into India. With access to the same Indian talent and low-cost model, these Western companies are competing on a level playing field and are taking the battle to the Indian outsourcers.
Everything you can do to decrease your cost of delivery, the cost of your services, is good for your clients, is good for you. That's the first reason to be in India. But there is another reason behind, which is even more important, is we are facing a shortage of talents in Europe. And to have access to this infinite pool of talents in India, it's a real advantage. It's a real competitive advantage.
On the hiring front, the industry remains bullish and is expected to create an extra 150,000 jobs in India this year. But it is also aware of the implications of domestic job losses in major markets like the US and the threat of protectionism.
What we are trying to tell the world is we are part of the solution, not the problem. We will make companies more efficient. And therefore, yes, we can all go hoopla, but the world has changed. There is a need for a global supply chain of talent. That's what we provide in many respects. If companies want to be truly global and expand, they will reach out and buy services from us.
The likely outcome of this is a much more competitive environment across the entire industry. Hiring foreign workers and more experienced Indians will dilute Bangalore's cost advantage, meaning the 25% margins Indian companies have been used to will go. But with the industry hitting the $50 billion mark in exports this year, outsourcing is clearly entering a new, more globalized phase of growth.